their entire families. I was getting presents. I was living the travel life. It was incredible.
Very anti-nuke. Look this up. He is very anti-nuke, and he has kept trying to find religious reasons for why building
out about this collective called the Collective for Black Iranians. They have a
Iranian language, same as many proverbs, 3 proverbs. Really, you got the 5.
So a black lady visited Iran and she's sharing a shocking experience that she never ever thought she could have in Iran. And also I have other people that have actually visited Iran and also are sharing how Iranians treat black people. And also I have other Americans sharing their thoughts on Africa and what some FBAs have been doing on and saying on the internet. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Let's go into the videos, watch, come back and talk.
Someone asked me how it was as a black woman being in Iran. And I told her, I was like, straight up, it was the best travel experience I've ever had in my life. I was a celebrity. I was stopping traffic in cities. I was having photo shoots with people and their entire families. I was getting presents. I was living the travel life. It was incredible, especially because I was living in India, which is very racist, very, very racist. And then I went to Iran, which was just like, I was so excited to see tourists, and they were so happy to have people who were very abnormal tourists. Like, black people don't go to Iran. They just don't do it. So they were so kind and so welcoming, and it was the most wonderful experience, the best experience I had traveling. And I want people to remember this when we see this propaganda that comes out and this divisive rhetoric that comes out. You need to know that some of these things have been pushed down our throats, and you think that everyone who's not black hates you. There is anti-blackness everywhere. I have to accept and admit that. I will never deny that. But you have to understand that not everyone is going to treat you the same based on what you've experienced, because that's something that I had to wake up to. When I got there, I was like, oh my God, there's so much anti-blackness in Arabs. And first of all, I was told Arabs are not the same as Iranians. Iranians are Persians, very proud, very old civilization. They do not appreciate being mistaken for Arabs at all. So never do that first. And second of all, they have a different life. They have a different outlook, a different culture. I found them to be so welcoming and so kind, so unbelievably kind, subhanallah. The second thing I want to address is that just because some people might be racist does not justify them being attacked and decimated. We had this conversation when the genocide started. I remember distinctly making a video, the first of my videos to ever go viral, that talked about this, that just because anti-blackness exists does not mean that we support genocide. Same thing with Iran. Even though there might be anti-blackness there, does not mean that we support their decimation. Even though there is societal oppression of women in that country, does not mean that we support this stupid, unjust war. We should have more sense than this. We cannot be going and having the same discussions over and over and over.
You are the teacher?
Oh, yes.
The teacher, yeah?
He's a teacher. He's
Oh, that's awesome. He's
teacher Mazhabi. Teacher Mazhabi.
Yeah. Yeah. Merci. Channel again, yeah? Okay. Okay. No noise, else he's gonna come and stop the video.
No.
No boxing.
No, boxing.
Oh, him? No.
No.
You go YouTube, yeah?
Channel YouTube. به فارسی بگید حالت چطوره؟
Look, he's gonna come and stop the video.
حالت چطوره؟
What does he mean? What does he mean?
Tera. Messi, no.
Su Vinicius.
No.
Vinicius.
You have a call?
Su. Oh, Cristiano
Ronaldo. Yes.
He's a football.
So you have black people in Iran? It's south of Iran, it's black people, and they are same as you. Even they make a joke and they said, look, I'm in the Iranian language, same as many proverbs, 3 proverbs. Really, you got the 5, maybe 10 million black in Iran. Same you. Yes. No search. Under a bus, but face same as you. So the city. And Ahwas. Yes. Okay, search. Do you want a spelling? You have the spelling? Yeah. Bandar Abbas, if you write, even go same to Google, it shows you. Right, Bandar Abbas or Ahwas. Look at the people. Right now I can show you. I'll show you right now. I didn't know that. Okay. This is guys, this is new information. I don't even know this before.
So I've been going on this deep dive trying to learn more about minorities in Iran, and I recently found out about Afro-Iranians. So Afro-Iranians are Black Iranians primarily living in the southern region of Iran, so like Bandar Abbas, and they were brought to Iran throughout the 17th through 19th centuries because of the slave trade. And their culture is so rich and so interesting. I was doing deep dives and learning about some people because I found out about this collective called the Collective for Black Iranians. They have a ton of different stories depicting the lives of people who consider themselves to be Afro-Iranian. They're really just trying to preserve their culture and tell their stories from a minority group that most Iranians, and especially not Westerners, have ever heard about. I think it's really interesting that they're spreading awareness about their culture and showcasing that Blackness comes in all different forms, especially in the Middle East. So yeah, check out the Collective for Black Iranians if you want to learn more.
So today I've learned a few things in Iranian, and this is something you do not do if you ever visit Iran. Don't ever do this, okay? If you visit Iran, never do this. It means so bad. And also one word I learned today is dinner was so delicious. The steak was so tender, and I'm still hanging around here. Let's tour a little bit this area, and then, you know, see what the night gets us to. But Iran, it's beautiful, and I'm loving it. And you Nuhami. Nuhami. Okay. Mashallah. Mashallah. This is, oh man. This is a real deal, man.
I traveled all the way from Kenya to Iran, and there's so much more than what you hear in the news. I went to the National Museum of Iran, where I learned about Iran's ancient civilizations and Islamic art. I had to take these photos because I thought it was so cool. I also took this photo in Iran Mall, the biggest mall in the Middle East. As a book lover, I had to look for the book garden, which is the mall's massive library with over 67,000 books. I'm excited about day 5 because I'm moving to another city.
Here's one part about this war that nobody is talking about. Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, the one that was killed, yeah, that guy is low-key a pacifist. I know it sounds crazy, but the guy does not like war. He hates violence. He's also very, very anti-nuke. Look this up. He is very anti-nuke, and he has kept trying to find religious reasons for why building a nuke goes against Islam, because it's a weapon of mass destruction. That's the aspect nobody talks about on TV, right? Then they killed him, and then they replaced him with his son. Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the late Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, is widely viewed as a radical hardline figure, often described as more extreme than his father. As of March 2026, he is reported to have emerged as a key figure or successor in Iran, with close ties to the Revolutionary Guard and a reputation for crushing dissent. So USA and Israel, in the name of they don't want Iran to have nukes, got rid of the one guy that has been stopping Iran for nukes and replaced him with the one guy that definitely wants nukes for Iran. They replaced him with a fucking Iranian version of baby King Jong-un. No one is talking about this.
We get told, particularly when it comes to Arabs and Muslims and Africans, that people are just diabolically evil for no reason.
Right.
That they do things because they hate our freedoms. We were told this about Iraq, that they just hated us for no damn reason at all. So there's no reason why Iran would hate us. But it turns out there's a lot of reason why Iran should hate us. We took their freedom, and we don't get told that. And so Americans get fed this false objective, story, particularly about global South countries, Muslim countries, African countries, that makes you believe a false narrative that tries to justify our actions. Yeah. Iran has reasons to hate us since 1953. We overthrew their government. We took away their freedom and imposed a Shah on them. Why do they have the Shah of Iran? That's what got me interested in news.
And then
this story.
Ayatollah Khomeini, he was always there. You're like,
yeah,
this evil dude.
And we were just told he's just evil. But what we weren't told is that when the Shah was in place for 20 something years, as he's brutally, viciously oppressing his people, the organizing against him took place in mosques. It's the only place that people could meet without being surveilled. So it became a religious-led movement because of that. We are the reason that the religious people, the religious Muslims in that case, it's a majority Muslim country, they're the ones who were organized to overthrow the Shah. That's why we had mullahs. We had mullahs because of us. And we don't get told that because that's an inconvenient narrative. That guy dies, this guy Khomeini takes over. We're just told he's just diabolically evil. Now, I'm not saying that that regime is not bad. But by the way, our regime is not good. Our regime has secret police. They have secret police. Our regime is oppressing women, taking away abortion rights, taking away women's rights in like 26 states, some states where they're trying to have the death penalty for having an abortion. They also oppress women. They have the highest rate of women who are in STEM careers. We're kicking women out of the military, out of university. We're saying that DEI means women can't be hired for high positions in the sciences. We're marginally better. And we're doing it for Christianity. They're doing it for Islam, right? Yeah. So it's like we don't get told those things because it would take away the kind of American exceptionalism narrative that makes it easy to take our people and send them off to die in a war that we have nothing to do with, that we don't want. And so I have a problem with the news media not providing context so people understand why these oligarchs are sending our kids off to die in Iran. Why are we doing what Israel says? We need context around that. Israel oppressed the Palestinian people since really 1967, you could say 48, when they drove 750,000 Palestinians out of their homes in the West Bank. Many of them drove them to Gaza. These people grew up in refugee camps. They've never had their own state, the state that was promised to them by the UN. They're living in an open air prison where they can see the sea. They can see the beautiful ocean. But if they go out into it, an Israeli warship might actually shoot and kill them. That happened when Ayman Mohyeldin, my colleague, was standing on the beaches of Gaza. Some kids were kicking around a soccer ball and they got shot dead by an Israeli warship that killed them in front of him. Whoa. And what happened was his coverage of it and his passion as a half Palestinian person himself, he is considered the bad guy, that he's not objective. You know, that's what objectivity does to us. So I feel like the news media is failing because they're not telling us why people are doing things.
The context that you're talking about, because the context is so important in how it's delivered. And you said something too, the inconvenient truth. We're not getting the full picture because it's an inconvenient truth. So who the heck is running the media to where you're trying to, why is it an inconvenient truth? Because I found that interesting. You said that, like, who's it inconveniencing?
Oligarchs. Yeah. You know, we have oligarchs just like Russia has oligarchs. They own our media. Jeff Bezos, the Ellison brothers, what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg, who owns Facebook and Meta. Yeah. You name it. All of these oligarchs, they have, and if they have a news organization in the company, it's not the main business. Jeff Bezos his company has military contracts. The Washington Post is just one of the little businesses he owns. Amazon is much more important to his bottom line. He doesn't care if you're getting the truth from the Washington Post. He wants the Washington Post to not get in the way of his other business. Yeah. So he needs the Washington Post to report in a way that doesn't piss Trump off.
The last person who survived the transatlantic slave trade was alive at the same time as your grandparents. Her name was Matilda McCreer. She was born around 1857 in West Africa, originally named Abake, a name that meant born to be low. At just 2 years old, she was captured in a raid, taken to the coast, and forced onto a ship called the Clotilda. That ship should not have existed. The United States had already banned the transatlantic slave trade, but in 1860, more than 50 years later, the Clotilda illegally carried 110 Africans into Alabama. Matilda was one of them. I'm Dr. Michael H. Ford, and this is a story you need to hear. When she arrived, she was sold, renamed, and separated from parts of her family. Her mother and one sister were with her at first. Two older sisters were sold away and never seen again. Even after slavery officially ended in 1865, freedom did not mean safety, wealth, or peace. Matilda became a sharecropper in Alabama, working land she would never own in a system that kept black families trapped in debt and poverty. As an adult, she had 14 children with a white German-born man and lived through segregation, the abuses of sharecropping, and the Great Depression, but she never let go of who she was. Researchers believe she continued wearing her hair in a traditional Yoruba style throughout her life, a connection to the culture she had been stolen from as a child. She also changed her surname from the name of an enslaver to McCreer. Then in her 70s, she did something extraordinary. She walked 15 miles to a courthouse in Selma, Alabama to demand compensation for what had been done to her. Her claim was dismissed. No payment, no justice, no repair. She went home empty-handed. Matilda McCreer died in Selma in 1940, more than 80 years old, the last known survivor in the United States of the transatlantic slave trade and the Clotilda. She survived the ship. She survived slavery. She survived sharecropping, segregation, and poverty. But surviving was never the same as being made whole. And America let one of the last living survivors of the transatlantic slave trade die without ever making it right.
It's crazy to hear Tariq Nasheed talk about African bushmeat and how they be out there in Africa eating bushmeat when you have black people in the southern part of the United States eating raccoons, eating squirrels. Y'all sit around and eat crickets. Y'all sit around and eat scorpions preserved in candy wax. When are black people in America who claim to be FBA going to understand that you are no different from African people, bruh? I'll do the exact same shit that you're trying to make fun of them for doing. I literally saw a guy cook a fucking bear leg, bro. That is the definition of bushmeat. But it's okay because the person's not in Africa, right? It's okay because you have propane, gasoline, and some coals to cook it over. Like I said, bro, like the shit that y'all do, it doesn't make any fucking sense, bro. As if there isn't some fucking New York bum eating a pigeon right now. As if you're not eating mice and rats when you go to your local Chinese food spot. But yeah, make fun of Africans for eating African bushmeat.
Not to take it back to the FBA stuff, but I am. This is a prime example of what I was talking about aligning with the ones that's like-minded, because Nipsey and Black Sam are not Black Americans. Mm-hmm. They're not foundational Black Americans. They from Africa for real. They pops and people, they first generation out here. They went back out there as kids. Black Sam is very vocal of talking about his lineage back in Africa. Nipsey is very vocal about the trip he took and how that changed his entire life. He was on an entire different trajectory prior to going to Africa, and that woke his game up and turned him into the Nipsey that we all grew to love. That you loved in his music, him dropping his game, him being for his people. That all came from that trip. So with this ideology that we getting hate for of, man, why y'all want to align with these Africans? Fuck, Nipsey African. All you niggas love Nip.
And there's multiple
and
people.
All you niggas love Black Sam. Them niggas is African.
Do they count them if they're born in Los Angeles?
Yes, because they're not foundational Black.
Oh, so the lineage thing. That's where that shit
it's the lineage thing. So it makes no zero sense.
Makes no sense. Yeah.
And there's multiple people that have lineage that is outside of America that you probably don't even know because you've grown up watching those people and seeing them around Black people and help Black people. So it's like, again, that's where it is bullshit, because just because you're from America or you're not doesn't mean you can't be under one black flag.
Because I would align with Nipsey and Black Sam before a lot of these weird ass niggas. A lot of these niggas. I would go with business plans and troop with them niggas before a lot of these niggas because of the like mind. That is prime example of what I was talking about. But y'all won't view them as the Africans you see on Twitter saying F Black Americans, if that's even them and not a troll account. Y'all view them as foundational Black Americans, low key. Y'all forget they African.
Because the biggest thing that everybody says is, oh, you guys don't have your own nation. Nobody cares about you. And the UAE signed in solidarity with Ghana. And the UAE is problematic, right? Even African countries who have had dictators even agreed to slavery being a crime. Even countries who have puppet presidents right now in Africa even agree. Slavery still happened on the continent. So respectfully, Black Americans are not the only people that deserve reparations. And I know that because the average Black American or African American, whatever, doesn't really know what slavery looked like on the continent or how it happened or how long it was happening. I think that's where the actual divide is. And then that's where like people have to do a little bit more research, right? Going on, even with the curriculum in Ghana's education system, that also needs to change as well, right? There's certain historical figures in Ghana, across Africa, that people want to learn more about, that we also want to see within the academic curriculum, right? Ghanaians are going back and forth talking about what the national language should be. I think people really understand that, like, none of us are saying that, you know, Ghana or Africa is perfect and we need to forget our identity.
You know, there's a lie that's been told for centuries about Black people in America, that we lost our connection to Africa and that the Middle Passage, it erased everything. But our names, they tell a different story. You know, when a mother names her daughter Ashanti, she's speaking the name of a powerful kingdom in Ghana. a people whose culture gave the world kente cloth and Adinkra symbols. And she might not have ever been to Ghana, but something in her spirit remembered. When parents named their daughter Kenya, they're planting her at the foot of a sacred mountain, Kirinyaga, the place of the Kikuyu people, and they believe that that's where God rests. When a child is named Maisha, it's a variation of Aisha, and it means she who lives. That name survived the Atlantic, and it landed in a hospital room where a parent declared that their child would carry life in her name. And when someone names their child Africa, that's more than a name. It's a declaration. Because Africa never left us. It lives in our music, it lives in our food, in the way that we gather, and the way that we love. It's quietly woven into everyday life here in America. The Akan people of Ghana have a word, Sankofa. It's a bird that flies forward while looking back, and it means it's not wrong to go back and fetch what you forgot. Every African name given to a Black child in America is Sankofa. The connection between Africa and its diaspora was never broken. It's just been stretched across the ocean, and it's waiting for us to pull it back. And if you didn't know, now you know.
So, sometimes mostly it's about propaganda. People just want to propagate bad things about a certain country just to give it a bad image. But when you look at the country itself, with the travelers or the content creators that have even gone there, just look at the way the country is. Very beautiful. Tehran is very, very beautiful. Very beautiful place. These people are very cool, calm, and collected. As the lady said, they are so lovely. Sometimes if you haven't experienced someone before, don't allow anybody to tell you their experience or what they think those people are. It's not healthy, and it's not going to help at all, because your experience will be different from another person's experience. And when I look at some of these videos, I get shocked, because the things that you will hear about some of these countries, you might think, hey, people should not even visit there because this, that. But just look at the way this lady is just praising the country and its people. Generally, we've been told a whole lot of bad stuffs about Arabs, Muslims, and even Black people, So if you're a Black person especially and you want to follow some of these propagandas, then it's up to you. It's up to you. The only people that I don't know, and I'm very sure it's an agenda. Perhaps they are even paid to do this, is the FBAs. They are just doing all these things. Perhaps that's what I think, because honestly, it doesn't make sense at all to me what they are doing on the internet, and it's so sad. Thank you so much for watching.